Hello. In this lecture, we are going to have an overview of cultural characteristics of Asia. We are going to go over topics such as population, agriculture, history, colonialism and or colonialist dominance, economy, language, and religion. Population. Since ancient times, Asia has been the largest place on Earth in terms of the size of population. On this slide, you see this interesting statement. There are more people living inside this circle than outside of it. Indeed, Asia is most dominant place on Earth in terms of its size of population. Today, there are 5 population clusters in the world. Asia has 3 of them. South Asia is the largest population cluster in the world, with 23.2% of the world population, closely followed by East Asia with nearly 22% of the world population. The next place is Southeast Asia with 8.6% of the world population. On this map of world population density distribution, you can see South Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia as the 3 primary population centers of the world. In terms of the world top 10 most populous countries, Asia has 5 of them: China, India, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The next tier, the 11th to the 20th most populous countries in the world, Asia has 4: Japan, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. So if you ever travel to countries of Asia, it's quite likely that you will see large crowds of people like this, and they are everywhere. People are everywhere in Asia. Cities or urban centers are also a form of clusters of population. On this slide, you see the top 20 largest megacities in the world. A megacity is an urban place with at least 10 million people. In 2015, of the 20 largest megacities in the world, there are 14 that are from Asia, with the number 1 city being Tokyo, Japan, with population 37.8 million people. Agriculture. Agriculture in Asia can be generally characterized as intensive subsistence farming system. Here, the intensive part refers to mainly labor intensive. We know Asia has a large population, so it's quite understandable why labor became one of the most important inputs in agriculture. In addition, many countries in Asia are economically less developed. Many people in the region still engaged in agriculture as the main way of livelihood. As a result, many farms cannot afford to purchase advanced farm machines such as tractors, combines. Therefore, they still use a lot of traditional agricultural tools and technologies, as you see on the pictures on this slide. So that is another reason that contribute to the labor-intensive agriculture in Asia. But in recent years, we have seen the increasing use of fertilizers and chemicals to increase land productivity and control pests and all kinds of crop diseases. So this intensive also refer to increasing use of those chemicals and fertilizers. The subsistence part in this term normally refer to farmers produce crops for self-consumption, and this is the original meaning of subsistence. But in recent decades, we see increasing commercialization of agriculture in Asia, especially in places with very good conditions for agriculture, places that are close to urban market, coastal cities. Those places we have seen increasingly higher level of agricultural commercialization. But in other places, in the interior part of China, in uplands of Southeast Asia, in those places where you will see a less favorable temperature or precipitation conditions for agriculture, you do see various degrees of subsistence in farming. Most farms in Asia are small in size, and this is understandable because of a large size population in Asia. On this slide, you can really see that in comparison with many other regions of the world, Asia on average have the smallest farm size, with the average farm size it barely is 1 hectare per farm. Here, 1 hectare is about 2.5 acres. If you compare the farm size of Asia with the average farm size of North America with 186 hectares per farm, is almost 300 acres per farm, and that is a big difference here. Again, one major reason is the large size of population in Asia. In addition, many people are still engaged in agriculture. That makes the farm size very small. One major disadvantage of its small farm size is that it's not easy to use modern agricultural machines, which leads to lower land productivity. Rice growing is very typical of Asia agriculture. In large areas of South Asia and Southeast Asia, they have tropical climate, also subtropical climate. These are very favorable conditions for rice growing. In South China and a large part of southern Japan, they also have subtropical climate conducive to rice growing. But there are places in Asia where the condition is less conducive to rice growing in interior part of Asia, and in those places they are far away from the ocean and with less moisture and colder conditions. Other crops are grown such as wheat, corn, and yams. Here on this slide, the picture on the left shows the terraced rice field on the hillside. When you run out of land in plain, in river valleys, farmers had to get on the hillside to open more land for farming. The picture on the right depicts the Japanese rice farmers. They are very talented. They grow rice in the form of art. So this is a kind of interesting in that regard. Villages are very typical settlement patterns in rural area of Asia. Basically, farm houses clustered together, forming some kind of a community like towns or even small cities. But the difference here is that you have very primitive infrastructure. Most roads were not paved with very little running water or very little street lights. Here you see a village in India, a village in Indonesia, and here the picture on the right is a photograph taken after a light snow in the rural area of North China. This is an aerial view looking down from the above. So the land is covered by snow, and those are villages, and those villages are connected by roads. Many farmers in Asia are part-time farmers, so they cannot make a decent living through farming. Therefore, a lot of family members, although they live in villages, they have to engage in non-agricultural activities to make additional income. As you see on these pictures, these two women are working on handicraft, and children also work in brick factories. Also, many young people have migrated to cities to find jobs in the city, leaving behind the elderly parents and very young children. Even farmers in Japan also mostly part-time. They work in the field during the summer and the fall, but they would go to the city, work in the urban sector during the winter time to earn some additional income to supplement the income that they earn from agriculture. So agriculture in Asia are facing very harsh reality today. Long history and ancient civilization. Many countries in Asia have long history and ancient civilizations. This map shows places in the world with ancient civilizations. Here in South Asia, you see Indus Valley and the Ganges Valley. These are places with long histories and ancient civilizations. Here in North China, in Yellow River Basin, you also see the established long civilization in the past. In many places of Southeast Asia, you also see many ancient civilizations. See, these few pictures illustrate the evidence of a long history and ancient civilizations in Asia. Here you have the Great Wall of China, built during the 200 BC. Also, through later generations, they have gone through major renovations as well. Here is the Red Fort of India, built during the 17th century, which is the Mughal Imperial Palace. The Angkor Wat in Cambodia was built during the 12th century in the Khmer Empire, a major Buddhist temple complex. Borobudur Buddhist temple complex, built during the 9th century in today's Indonesia. So these all evidence of long history and ancient civilizations in Asia. Colonialism and or colonialist dominance. Most countries in Asia had experience of colonialism. On this map, you see that most countries in South Asia are part of a British Empire during the colonial era. Here in Indochina, which includes 3 countries, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. These three countries were the colonies of the French during the colonial era. The present-day Indonesia was the colony of the Dutch. The Portuguese controlled some small pieces of land in Asia. For example, in South Asia, they control this coastal city Goa. In Southeast Asia, they control this East Timor. And in East Asia, they control a small colony, Macau. Some countries in Asia have never been completely conquered by colonial powers, such as Nepal, Thailand, and China. In the case of Thailand, it was cut down by the colonial powers in size and to serve as a buffer zone between the British Empire and the French colonies. China had two small pieces of land to be controlled by the foreign powers as colonies, Hong Kong and Macau. Also, during the World War II, large areas of China was invaded and occupied by the Japanese. So these experience of colonialism or colonialist domination in many ways have shaped and conditioned the social, political, and economic development path chosen by those countries after the end of World War II.